Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to the video. Today, we're going to take a look at NextDNS. NextDNS blocks ads and trackers on websites and apps, and provides in-depth analytics and real-time logs. Just think of it as a Pihole on the cloud, and of course without the daily updating of block lists, which can get annoying. I've used NextDNS for quite a while now, and it's lightning quick. It also has a 100% success rate in blocking ads. I'd like to point out before we begin that they do have a paid tier. It gives you unlimited queries, but, honestly, I think the free tier should be fine for pretty much anyone, since it allows up to 300,000 queries per month, which should be sufficient for personal use. Now, this is the dashboard right here. You're going to see your endpoints, and these are going to be your DNS servers, which we are going to put in your router or in your computer. So if we come up here, we're going to see it says here this device is not using NextDNS. Basically, make sure you link your IP address in the link IP section below. Tap the link IP button here. But the problem is, if you have a dynamic IP address, you will have to tap this button every time it changes. So, the trick here is to use the no IP service. And if you wonder how to use NextDNS, just check the setup guide below. It's basically supported on every platform. So you really don't have any excuse for not using it. I have it set up on my router. Therefore, every device on my home network is forced to use NextDNS. Be aware that some of these settings might get a little technical. Security panel. Intelligence feeds. I recommend keeping it enabled. These feeds block domains that NextDNS knows are used to distribute malware. This is a good way to protect yourself against phishing attacks. AI-driven threat detection. This is a beta feature, but I recommend enabling it, especially if you're looking for a little extra protection. I have it enabled on my personal account and haven't had any issues. Google Safe Browsing. This feature is already implemented in some browsers, such as Firefox and Brave, in a way that respects your privacy. However, if you want to use it on a system-wide level, you can enable it in NextDNS. This will protect all of your devices, even those that don't support Google Safe Browsing natively. Cryptojacking protection. This feature prevents websites from secretly mining cryptocurrency on your device. It's not foolproof, but it will block most obvious attempts. I personally keep this enabled, and I recommend you do too, especially if you already have a block list in place. DNS rebinding protection. This feature is off by default, but I recommend enabling it unless you need to use DNS rebinding on some of your devices. DNS rebinding is a technique that attackers can use to gain access to your local network. So it's best to have this protection enabled unless you absolutely need to disable it. IDN homograph attacks protection. This feature prevents phishing attacks that often try to impersonate legitimate URL by replacing characters with similar-looking ones. Enabling this feature protects against these kinds of phishing attacks. Typo squatting protection. This is on by default, and I've seen very little reason to turn it off. Typo squatting is a cybercrime, where attackers register domains with common misspellings of popular websites. When users mistype the address, they end up on the attacker's site, which may be used to steal personal information. Domain generation algorithms protection. This feature helps to protect you from DNS spoofing attacks, which can redirect you to malicious websites. It's enabled by default, and I recommend keeping it enabled. Block newly registered domains. This feature blocks newly registered domains, which are often used by attackers to launch malicious campaigns. It can lead to false positives, but you can whitelist specific domains to avoid this. Block dynamic DNS hostnames. This feature is in beta, but I recommend enabling it, especially if you are already using other security features in NextDNS. I have not seen any reports of false positives or other problems with this feature. Block part domains. This feature blocks part domains, which are websites that are not yet developed or are used for malicious purposes. I recommend enabling this feature. Block top-level domains. This feature allows you to block specific TLDs. Some TLDs are frequently abused for spam and malware, so blocking them can improve your security. However, you should be careful when blocking TLDs, as this can prevent you from accessing legitimate websites. I recommend blocking the following TLDs, which are suggested by a popular NextDNS guides. You can also add additional TLDs to the block list if you want. However, I recommend doing your research before blocking any TLDs. Block child sexual abuse material. This is on by default, and I recommend keeping it on, as it is something you want to keep enabled to protect your privacy. And now we are in the privacy section. Block lists. There are massive lists of things to block, and they are updated every day or so. There are many block lists available, but some are outdated and others are too aggressive. I recommend using the Hugazzi block lists, which are frequently updated. I personally use the Pro Plus version, which has a good balance between blocking ads, trackers, metrics, malware, and fake websites, while minimizing false positives. If you find that you're getting too many false positives, you can try using a lighter version of the Hugazzi, or you can experiment with other block lists. Native tracking protection. A beta feature that blocks tracking done by the operating system itself. I recommend only enabling this feature for the devices you use, to avoid any potential false positives. Block disguised third-party trackers. This feature is enabled by default, and it will detect and block third-party trackers that pretend to be first-party trackers in order to circumvent recent browser protections like ITP. Allow affiliate and tracking links. This feature is off by default, meaning that it will not allow affiliate links. Affiliate links can be privacy invasive, but it really depends on how they're used and what the website is. If you don't want to deal with affiliate links whatsoever, you can keep this off. Parental controls. Websites and apps and games. It restricts access to a specific service, like Tinder or TikTok. The difference between this tab and the Denylist is that this tab corresponds with recreation time. Categories. Restrict access to specific categories of websites and apps, such as gambling and dating. Recreation time. Recreation time means that certain categories or services can only be blocked during certain hours. Safe search. If you don't want to see naughty things on the internet, or maybe anywhere on the internet, not just in your search engine, then you need to enable it. YouTube restricted mode. Enable this if you don't want to see comments on any YouTube app. Block bypass methods. This prevents VPN, Tor proxies, and anything else that could be used to bypass the restrictions, because NextDNS works through DNS, and VPN companies use their own DNS providers. I personally keep it off because I use VPN and Tor browser. Now, I'm quickly going to cover the Denylist and allowlist. This is very straightforward. For example, I just had to go here and add facebook.com. And now it is permanently denied. This is the denial list. It's going to block any domain you don't like. But keep in mind, blocking just facebook.com won't necessarily block something else that's owned by Facebook. This isn't a sophisticated block list or anything like that. It's literally just blocking a single domain. For the allowlist, it is the opposite of Denylist. Again, you can add work.com, or whatever you want, to allow it. It is very simple. Let's go through analytics. This is really straightforward. Analytics provide a broad overview of all activities on your devices. They show you the number of queries and explain why certain things are blocked, indicating which block lists are having the most impact. Analytics help you by showing blocked domains, devices, and IP addresses. This enables you to have a comprehensive understanding of everything happening across your devices. Now, you can go into your DNS logs to know if something's blocked. It's going to tell you it's blocked because of this filter, this block list, or this feature. You can go into your allow list and allow that specific domain, without turning off the whole feature or the whole block list. Let's go straight to the settings section. Here, you have the option of selecting where your storage is located. You also have the option to enable or disable logs. There's an option to add the NextDNS root CA for a cleaner experience, but it might slightly increase page load times. Some caution is advised, as enabling certain features like the block page can break a cloud private relay, Yahoo Mail, and potentially other services. In performance, I personally enable anonymized DNS client subnet, as it speeds things up and doesn't expose my IP address. I believe it's done in a privacy-respecting manner. Additionally, I use the cache boost, although I find it curious that it's off by default. The only feature I don't enable is CNAME flattening because it can potentially break some sites. Web3 features are available, allowing users to access Web3 domains without the need for explicit browser support. Adding a trailing slash when accessing Web3 domains directly is recommended. Rewrites. DNS rewrite is a feature to alter the resolved IP address for a particular domain name or URL. Access. Provides access to this profile to others by an email address, and edit or just viewing your profile. Finally, this button is for deleting your profile in NextDNS. I have placed the link to NextDNS in the comments and in the description.